Chosen one, stop what you are doing right now and lock every part of your attention onto my voice. That sudden urge you feel to scroll past this message is not a mere accident. You absolutely must resist it. Anchor your spirit to the truth I am about to reveal to you today. Because the profound revelation I uncovered while preparing this exact message made me sit in absolute silence for a very long time. I know exactly what the last 72 hours have felt like for your spirit. You are waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, your eyes suddenly open in the dark. There is a heavy weight pressing down on your chest that you simply cannot explain to anyone around you. It feels like a thick blanket of anxiety, but it is actually something else entirely. You lie there in the quiet room wondering what is wrong with your mind. The atmosphere in your own home has felt incredibly strange and heavy this entire week. You walk through your living room and you feel like a total stranger. The air around you feels incredibly thick today. The silence in the house feels overwhelmingly loud. You sit on your familiar couch and you wonder why your own safe space suddenly feels like a waiting room for something you cannot name. And then you go out into the physical world and it gets even worse. You walk into a crowded room and the conversations just suddenly stop. People start to look at you differently. You try your best to engage with them, but there is a thick glass wall standing between your spirit and theirs. They pull away from your presence, and they do not even know why they are doing it. It hurts your heart deeply every single time. You have spent your entire life being called too sensitive or too incredibly deep. People have always told you that you feel things much too intensely. And right now you are honestly wondering if they were actually right all along. You are wondering if there is something fundamentally broken within your own mind. Let me stop you right there before you go any further, because you are absolutely not imagining this reality. What you are sensing in the atmosphere right now is absolutely real. I am confirming it to you today so you can finally stop doubting your own sanity. That low hum you have been carrying inside your spirit all week is not anxiety. It is spiritual activation. Your spiritual senses are currently picking up on a massive shift, and this movement is happening just behind the veil of the physical world. The enemy has been working overtime against your life for one reason and one reason only. He knows exactly what shifts in the spiritual realm the moment you receive these powerful words. He desperately wants you feeling crazy and isolated, so you will eventually drop the very spiritual weapon you were meant to wield. But his dark plan has already completely failed. You are still standing strong here today. You did not find this specific message by mere accident today. The algorithm did not just randomly bring you to this exact place on the internet. The Holy Spirit carefully directed your path to hear my voice. This is a profound divine appointment, and it was firmly scheduled before the very foundations of the earth were ever laid. Heaven knew you would deeply need to hear this exact truth at this exact time. Think about how much heavy weight you have carried for other people your entire life. You are always the faithful one they run to with their shattered, broken pieces. You constantly give until your own emotional well is completely dry. And yet, when you need someone to sit in the dark with you, the room is completely empty. That painful isolation feels like a cruel punishment for your kind heart. But everything changes for you starting today. You are currently standing right at the threshold of a massive spiritual revelation. The long season of constantly wondering why you are so different is finally coming to a close. The deep pain of being misunderstood is about to be transformed into the greatest clarity you have ever experienced in your life. But you absolutely have to stay with me to receive it. In these next few minutes, I am going to identify the exact spiritual gift the world told you was just a fatal flaw. I will clearly show you the exact beautiful moment it was placed inside you before you were even born. You will finally understand why your sharp intuition has always felt like a heavy burden instead of the brilliant blessing it truly is. It was never meant to be a crushing burden. Then I am going to expose the specific lie that has been keeping you trapped in this endless cycle of self-doubt. There is a deeply hidden block resting inside your mind right now. It was maliciously planted there by people who were secretly terrified of your limitless potential. Once you clearly see this dark lie for what it really is, it will lose its strong grip on your life forever. You will breathe freely again. And at the very end of our time together, I am going to give you something incredibly powerful. I will give you the exact sacred declaration that activates your spiritual weapon fully. This is the master key that unlocks everything you have been so patiently waiting for. You must let these foundational truths settle deep in your spirit while you prepare your heart for the final release. Do not click away from this message today. If you choose to leave before the end, you will walk away from the very verdict heaven has prepared for you. Your empowered future self is waiting patiently on the other side of these exact words. So please take a deep, calming breath right now. Release the tight tension hiding in your weary shoulders and fully prepare your open heart for the absolute truth you have been craving. You have spent years desperately trying to fix what you thought was broken inside of you. You prayed countless times for heaven to just take the heavy sensitivity away. You thought it was a terrible curse. And because the world constantly told you that you were simply too much, you eventually believed their lies and you assumed your deep feelings were a painful flaw. You hid your light. But let me reframe your entire reality right now. What you carry in your spirit is not a wound. It is actually a highly advanced spiritual weapon. The deep sensitivity they always told you to hide is a powerful radar. It was perfectly designed to detect the unseen movements occurring in the spiritual realm around you, and this is exactly why you have always felt things before they even physically happened. That is exactly why you feel the sudden shift in a room. You pick up on their hidden intentions, while others only see the comfortable smiling surface. Your spirit immediately senses the dark truth hiding underneath because your radar never sleeps. You read the energy effortlessly. Your deep empathy is not a tragic weakness, it is pure discernment. And this brings us to the painful isolation you have been experiencing lately. You look around your quiet life, and you wonder why everyone suddenly left. You think heaven is actively punishing you by removing your entire support system. But your current isolation is not evidence of your disqualification, because God is actually doing something incredibly profound behind the scenes to protect your pure heart. It is evidence of your selection. God did not remove the loud crowd to casually abandon you in the dark wilderness. He protected you. He intentionally cleared the noisy room so he could finally speak to you without any earthly interference. When heaven is preparing to hand you a massive spiritual assignment, the environment must be completely silenced. The ordinary distractions had to be forcibly removed from your path. The people who were subtly draining your energy had to be gently pushed away. Look at the ancient text, and you will see this exact divine pattern everywhere. Moses did not receive the sacred blueprint for an entire nation while standing in a busy city square. He felt forgotten. He had to be pulled away into the quiet isolation of the vast desert. He spent 40 long years in the silent wilderness, and during that entire time he probably thought his grand purpose was completely over. He was a man who felt things deeply and carried a massive emotional weight for his suffering people. But his profound sensitivity had to be carefully separated from the toxic noise of the familiar world. You are in training. Heaven had to completely isolate him in the lonely desert to properly calibrate his spirit, because a powerful weapon must always be forged in total, unbroken silence. And the exact same rigorous process is happening to you right now. The burning bush moment does not ever happen in the middle of a crowded, noisy room. It happens when you are completely alone and wondering if heaven has forgotten your name. Your current season of intense loneliness is actually the sacred forge. The fire is purifying you. It is the exact isolated place where your spiritual radar is being perfectly fine-tuned for the great battles ahead, and your true identity is being fully established. The world looks at your quiet season and they incorrectly judge it as a massive failure. They wonder why you stepped back from the busy life you used to heavily participate in. Do not even try. But you cannot successfully explain a divine spiritual incubation period to a purely physical mind. You will only exhaust your energy if you constantly try to make them see your truth. They will never understand the heavy cost. You were simply built for a completely different frequency than the people around you. And when a highly sensitive radar is surrounded by dense static, it naturally feels incredibly overwhelmed. That is why you used to feel so utterly drained after spending time in certain crowded environments. It made you so physically tired. Your spirit was fighting a quiet, invisible war that your mind could not see, while you just thought you were dealing with ordinary, everyday exhaustion. The enemy saw the massive potential of your spiritual weapon long before you ever did. That is exactly why your life has been filled with such strange and relentless warfare. He is terrified of you. The enemy does not waste premium spiritual attacks on ordinary people, because he only targets the specific vessels that carry the power to destroy his dark kingdom. The sheer intensity of your past battles is absolute proof of your incredibly high calling. Every single time you were deeply misunderstood, your spiritual discernment was being stretched and strengthened. Every single time you had to survive a harsh betrayal, you were learning how to independently navigate the unseen realm. They truly meant to permanently destroy you with those painful attacks. You survived it all, but instead they accidentally developed you into a seasoned, spiritual warrior. Your pain was never a random punishment. It was a rigorous and necessary preparation. Your current isolation is not a cruel banishment. It is a holy consecration. Once you firmly accept this profound truth, the heavy weight begins to immediately lift off your weary shoulders. You can finally breathe again. But here is where the beautiful narrative of your journey delves far deeper than you ever expected. Knowing that your sensitivity is a weapon is only the very first crucial step, because there is a much deeper reason why you specifically were chosen to carry this exact burden, and there is a specific reason why the people you loved most could not come with you into this new season. Let this profound truth settle deeply into your spirit first. Coming up next, I am going to expose the hidden root that changes everything. Think about the young boy David out in the lonely pasture. He was completely ignored by his own family. They left him out there with the sheep because they did not understand his true value. They just saw a simple shepherd boy. But in that absolute isolation, he was learning how to accurately wield his unique weapon. He fought the massive bear and the fierce lion in total silence. Nobody saw his private victories, but those hidden battles were the exact training ground for Goliath. You have been fighting your own terrifying lions in the dark. Your family may have completely misunderstood your deep sensitivity. They probably thought you were just fragile or overly emotional. But every single time you absorbed a heavy blow and chose to keep your heart soft, you were building immense spiritual muscle. You were quietly swinging the sling. You were mastering your unique frequency while nobody was watching. The darkness was your greatest teacher. A beautiful and deadly sword is never created in a comfortable room. It is aggressively beaten into shape. It must be plunged into the blazing fire over and over again until all the weak impurities are completely burned away. Your incredibly painful experiences were the heavy hammer. The intense isolation was the blazing forge. Heaven was simply preparing a blade sharp enough to cut through the heavy darkness of this chaotic generation. You are that finely crafted blade. You have not been merely aging these past few tough years. You have been molting. Just like a powerful eagle must pull out its old feathers to grow new ones, you had to shed the old version of yourself. It was a terribly painful process that left you feeling completely exposed and vulnerable to the harsh elements. You probably thought you were dying, but you were actually just making room for a much wider wingspan. And this brings us to something most people miss entirely. Once you truly realize your sensitivity is a forged weapon, you start looking at your past relationships very differently. You finally understand why certain people simply could not stay in your life. It was never about your lack of intrinsic worth. It was always about the massive difference in your spiritual frequencies. They could not handle the bright light you carried within your spirit. Look closely at the ancient life of Joseph. His own brothers did not hate him because he was a bad person. They callously threw him into a dark pit because his vivid dreams deeply unsettled their comfortable reality. Your deep intuition does the exact same thing to the people around you. Your pure presence forces them to silently confront their own hidden shadows. And instead of healing themselves, they chose to quickly reject you. You spent countless lonely nights crying over people who walked away. You thought you did something terribly wrong to push them out of your life. But heaven was actively severing those mismatched connections to protect your high calling. Your spiritual radar was making them incredibly uncomfortable, so they naturally pulled away. Their sudden rejection was actually God providing divine protection over your precious energy. They meant to completely destroy your soft heart when they callously abandoned you. They wanted to see you break under the heavy pressure, but instead they accidentally developed your greatest strength. The empathy they constantly called a tragic weakness is now the exact radar you use to navigate the spiritual realm. You no longer need their shallow validation to know your true worth. You are completely secure in your divine assignment. What you carry inside your chest cannot be copied or reverse engineered by anyone else. It is a highly specialized frequency that only activates inside a broken and fully healed heart. The world tries to teach ordinary people how to be empathetic through textbooks, but you learned it in the brutal trenches of real pain. You earned this profound spiritual authority through your own bitter tears. You paid the heavy price. You are not the misunderstood outcast you always thought you were. You are the chosen one who bravely survived the fiery crucible. The people who abandoned you are still living in the exact same shallow patterns they always have. But you have successfully evolved into something they cannot even comprehend anymore. Your spirit has officially crossed over into a completely new dimension of peace and deep understanding. They cannot reach you there. Every time you feel the heavy energy of a room shift, you are using your weapon. Every time you instantly know someone is lying despite their perfect smile, your radar is actively protecting you. You do not have to absorb their negative energy anymore. You can simply observe it from a safe distance. Your deep sensitivity is no longer a sponge soaking up the toxic waste of other people. It is a strong shield, completely deflecting it away from your peaceful mind. You are finally stepping into the quiet confidence of your true identity. You are learning how to wield the sword of discernment without cutting yourself in the process. You no longer walk into a room and feel completely overwhelmed by the chaotic noise. You walk in with the steady grace of someone who holds the absolute power to change the atmosphere. They sense this massive shift in you. They can feel the heavy weight of your newly refined spirit, even if they do not have the proper words to describe it. But there is still one remaining obstacle quietly standing in your way. And once that profound truth securely clicks into place, everything will suddenly shift forever. Lean in close to my voice right now, because what I'm about to share next is the missing piece that breaks the final cycle. Let me explain exactly what happens in the unseen realm today. You look at the people you used to know so well. You wonder why the gap between you feels so incredibly wide now. You both speak the exact same physical language, but they stare at you like you are speaking a completely foreign tongue because your energy has completely changed. This is not just a simple lack of human communication. It is a massive frequency shift happening deep inside your spirit. Your spirit has been quietly elevated to a completely different vibration. While they were busy chasing ordinary worldly validation, you were spending long hours in the silent forge. Your soul was being perfectly tuned to the pure frequency of heaven. And when a highly tuned instrument sits next to a broken one, the sharp contrast is absolutely shocking. They can feel this difference immediately when you walk in. It makes their normal reality feel very strange. They do not pull away from you because you are a bad person. They pull away because your bright light violently exposes their hidden shadows. When you simply walk into a room, Your pure energy disrupts their comfortable static. They feel a deep spiritual conviction they cannot explain, and it makes them feel incredibly uncomfortable in their own skin. They do not know how to handle this pure energy, so they slowly retreat back into their safe darkness. They strongly prefer the older version of you because the old you was very easy to control. The old you absorbed all their toxic waste without ever complaining. But the new you has established very firm spiritual boundaries. The new you sees right through their fake smiles and their polite lies. You cannot unsee the harsh truth once your spiritual eyes are finally opened and you refuse to play their old games anymore. The people pulling away from you are not necessarily rejecting your soul. They are actually grieving the old version of you that they are about to lose forever. They desperately want you to shrink back down to their familiar level, because if you stay small, they never have to look at their own lack of spiritual growth. They want you to stay stuck in the mud with them. It makes them feel much better about their own stagnation, but you absolutely cannot shrink back down to fit their tiny boxes anymore. If you try to lower your pure frequency just to make them comfortable, you will physically hurt your own body. You will feel a deep, sickening exhaustion deep in your bones. It is the heavy price of betraying your own divine assignment. Do not ever compromise your spirit for them. Your calling is far too important to be heavily diluted. You used to think you were just socially awkward or easily tired. You would come home from a normal family gathering and need 3 whole days to recover in silence. That was never just ordinary physical tiredness from a long day. Your spirit was actively fighting a heavy resistance against a dense spiritual static. Your radar was working in absolute overdrive to fiercely protect your peaceful mind. This is exactly why you have to let them walk away without chasing them. You must stop agonizing over why they do not understand your beautiful heart. You cannot translate a high spiritual frequency to a mind that only understands earthly static, because it is physically and spiritually impossible to bridge that massive gap. You must surrender the deep need to be fully understood by them. It is finally time to just let them go. Heaven is intentionally causing this friction to create a permanent boundary. God knows that if you stay anchored to their heavy energy, you will never take flight. He is using their stubborn misunderstanding as a sharp pair of scissors today. He is cutting the invisible cords that kept you tied to the wrong environments. You are finally completely free from their heavy expectations. You must embrace this lonely altitude because it is where you truly belong. The spiritual air is much thinner up here on the high mountaintop. There are very few people who can survive at this high elevation with you. But the stunning clarity you gain up here is worth every single lonely tear you have ever cried, and you can finally see everything with perfect vision. The beautiful divine view is now entirely yours, and you must understand that this current isolation will not last forever. Heaven is currently preparing a completely new tribe of faithful people for you, but they can only find you if you stay firmly planted in your true frequency. If you hide your bright light in the shadows, your true spiritual family will walk right past you in the dark. You have to remain highly visible in the spirit realm. So you have to stop apologizing for your deep sensitivity right now. Stop saying you are sorry for feeling things that others completely ignore. Your intense reactions are perfectly valid responses to the invisible war happening around you. You are simply reacting to the unseen reality that they are completely blind to, while they pretend everything is perfectly fine and normal. You are the only one who is actually awake. Your very presence is a massive catalyst for change in the physical world. Just by standing quietly in a chaotic room, you begin to shift the entire atmosphere. You bring a sudden divine order into spaces that are currently filled with deep confusion. That is the true breathtaking power of the pure frequency you carry inside your spirit today. You literally change things just by existing in the room. This means your current season of deep loneliness is actually a powerful blessing. It is the quiet, sacred space where your new frequency is locked in permanently. You are being beautifully recalibrated by the very loving hand of the Creator. And once this sacred tuning process is fully complete, no amount of worldly static will ever disrupt your deep peace again. You will become completely unshakable in your daily life. But there is a very dangerous trap waiting for you right at this exact stage. And it is something that almost every chosen one falls into, completely blindly. You correctly identified the massive gap between you and the rest of the world. But here is where it gets truly confrontational, because the real block is not actually out there anymore. You are looking in the wrong direction entirely. Coming up in just a moment, I am going to reveal the deepest root. I will expose the final quiet lie that you are still secretly believing about yourself. But first, this profound truth about your new frequency must land deep in your spirit. It must settle like heavy bedrock in your mind before we can safely move forward. Please stay with me right here in this sacred moment. You look around your quiet life right now, and you only see empty space. The heavy silence in your room feels completely deafening to your tired ears. You assume heaven has completely forgotten your name. You think this deep isolation is a harsh penalty for being so different. But this empty room is actually a highly specialized training facility for your spirit. Your season of being hidden away was perfectly orchestrated by divine design. God deliberately pulled you out of the chaotic traffic of normal life. He knew you were absorbing far too much noise from the broken world. Your highly sensitive radar was becoming completely jammed by the endless worldly static, so he had to gently pull you away to protect your precious mind. Think about the rigorous preparation of a master warrior before a massive battle. They do not prepare their sharp weapons in the middle of a loud party. They retreat to a quiet tent to carefully sharpen their heavy blade. They sit in absolute silence to focus their strong mind for the coming war. And your current season of intense isolation is exactly like that quiet warrior tent. You are being strategically prepared for an incredibly powerful spiritual assignment. The heavy spiritual weapon you carry requires an immense amount of inner stability to wield correctly. If heaven handed you this massive authority while your mind was still heavily distracted by earthly drama, the sheer weight of it would have crushed you completely. The chaotic noise of the busy crowd would have made you swing the sword blindly. That is exactly why the loud crowd had to forcefully exit your life. God could not train you properly in a busy room. He had to clear the space completely. He removed the heavy distractions so you could finally hear the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit, because the divine instructions for your life are only broadcast on a very quiet frequency. When you are sitting completely alone in the dark at 3 in the morning, you are not truly alone in that silent room. Heaven is actively downloading advanced spiritual blueprints directly into your open spirit. Your physical mind might feel incredibly tired, but your deep soul is actively absorbing massive amounts of divine intelligence. This is the sacred preparation process that ordinary people simply never get to experience because they refuse to sit in the quiet dark. You must fiercely guard this quiet season instead of constantly fighting it. Stop praying for God to bring the loud distractions back into your daily life. The toxic people you are desperately crying over were actually keeping you completely stagnant. Their constant drama was a heavy anchor tied tightly around your neck, and heaven finally decided to cut the heavy rope to set you totally free. Look at the majestic eagle when it prepares for a completely new season of flight. It does not stay down in the noisy valley with the ordinary birds. It aggressively climbs up to the highest and most isolated mountain peak. It sits there totally alone in the freezing wind while it pulls out its old broken feathers, because the painful molting process requires absolute solitude to work perfectly. You are currently sitting on that high, lonely peak right now. The freezing wind of isolation is stripping away all of your old earthly attachments. You are losing your deep desire to constantly please the people around you. You are quickly losing your intense fear of being completely misunderstood by the blind world. This is not a tragic loss of your identity at all, but rather it is the absolute freedom you have been secretly craving your entire life. This quiet preparation is making your spiritual radar incredibly sharp and beautifully accurate. You are no longer flooded with toxic human energy. You can finally feel your own true frequency again. You can clearly tell the difference between your own anxious thoughts and a genuine spiritual warning. And this vital distinction is the absolute key to wielding your weapons safely. The profound clarity you are gaining right now is your ultimate spiritual armor. You will not easily absorb their heavy toxicity anymore. You will walk through the dark valleys with an impenetrable shield of pure light. The chaotic noise of the broken world will simply bounce right off your peaceful mind when heaven finally releases you back into the crowded places. When you wield a finely crafted sword, you must know exactly how heavy it is. You must understand the perfect balance of the sharp blade before you ever swing it. Your spiritual discernment is exactly the same way. Heaven is currently teaching you the immense weight of your own powerful intuition, so you do not accidentally hurt innocent people when you finally speak the absolute truth. You have the profound ability to look right into the hidden depths of another human soul. You can instantly see their deepest wounds and their darkest hidden secrets. That level of intense spiritual sight is incredibly dangerous if it is not firmly guided by divine wisdom. God isolated you to ensure your pure heart is perfectly aligned with His absolute love before He completely unleashes your sharp discernment upon the broken world. This is why the long waiting period feels so incredibly frustrating to your eager mind. You feel a massive amount of potential energy building up inside your tired chest. You know you are fiercely meant to do something great, but every single door you desperately try to open remains firmly locked and heavily guarded by the invisible hand of the Creator. So please stop looking at your lonely weekends as a massive personal failure. Stop comparing your quiet, hidden life to the loud lives of the people on your phone. Their loud, worldly path is incredibly wide and extremely crowded with lost souls. But the sacred path of the chosen one is always beautifully narrow and very quiet, which means you are exactly where you are supposed to be today. Your intense season of isolation is simply the necessary quiet before the massive storm. It is the deep breath heaven takes before blowing a mighty wind across your life. Embrace the beautiful silence of the empty room. Let the blazing fire of this lonely forge fully burn away the last remaining doubts you have about your high calling, because you are almost completely ready now. But there is the part no one ever wants to hear. We have blamed the dark enemy for your intense isolation. We have blamed the toxic people who simply could not handle your bright light. But here is where the narrative takes a very unexpected turn that you likely did not anticipate when you first clicked on this message. The thing that is quietly blocking your final breakthrough is not what your tired mind immediately conjured. It is actually something deeply hidden inside of your own mind. And if we do not bravely confront this uncomfortable truth together right now, you will tragically stay stuck in this silent waiting room forever. Stay with me closely as we finally look at this last major obstacle. We have reached the most difficult part of our journey together today. I need you to listen to these next words with a completely open heart. I am not speaking to you out of anger or harsh judgment, because I am speaking to you with absolute, unconditional love. But we have to look honestly at the heavy chain still holding you back. It is time to bravely face the quiet truth in the dark. You have spent years blaming the dark enemy for your lack of progress. You constantly pointed your finger at the toxic people who betrayed your pure trust. You thought their negative energy was the massive wall blocking your final breakthrough. And while they certainly did try to hurt you deeply, they are not the real reason you are still waiting. They do not hold that much power over your life. The enemy lost his total grip on your spirit a very long time ago. He cannot physically stop you from walking right into your divine assignment today. The people who abandoned you have absolutely no authority over your bright future. They are completely irrelevant to the massive spiritual shift happening right now. The real obstacle is actually hiding quietly inside your own mind, and it is quietly keeping you firmly stuck in place. Here is the profound diagnosis that will finally set you completely free today. The thing that is currently blocking your massive breakthrough is your own fear. You are secretly terrified of your own immense spiritual power. You have been carrying this incredible weapon of discernment for so many lonely years, but some quiet part of you is desperately afraid to actually swing the heavy sword. This is the uncomfortable truth you must accept. You know exactly how deeply your words can cut through the thick static. You have seen how quickly the atmosphere shifts when you finally speak the absolute truth. And that massive spiritual responsibility feels incredibly heavy on your tired shoulders. So you subconsciously choose to play small to avoid the heavy burden of true leadership, because you do not want to make a massive mistake. You dim your bright light on purpose. You deeply fear that stepping into your spiritual authority will leave you completely alone forever. You think your intense frequency will simply scare everyone away. So you constantly apologize for your sharp intuition to make normal people comfortable. You swallow your profound insights because you do not want to violently rock the fragile boat, and you end up hiding your true, beautiful self. This is deeply hurting your pure spirit today. This is the exact lie keeping you firmly trapped in the dark waiting room. The enemy did not put you in that restrictive box. You actually walked right into it and quietly locked the heavy door from the inside. You made a secret agreement with smallness because the small dark box felt much safer than the vast open sky. You consciously chose the familiar pain of being hidden. But a powerful eagle was never meant to live comfortably inside a tiny wooden cage. Your massive wingspan is being crushed by the low ceiling of your own deep fears. God did not pull you through the fire just to hide in the shadows. He forged you into a sharp weapon so you could finally cut the heavy chains of this broken generation. And you must proudly rise up right now to fulfill this destiny. You must not stay in the dark cage. Your intense fear of your own power is actually a subtle form of false humility. You think you are being completely humble by refusing to use your spiritual gifts. You are actually just insulting the Creator who carefully placed them inside your chest. Heaven did not make a tragic mistake when it chose you for this heavy mantle, because you are fully equipped to handle the massive weight. You are absolutely entirely ready for this massive shift. You do not need to wait for any more worldly validation to activate your spirit. You do not need another person to confirm what you already know is absolutely true. The intense power inside you is completely real and waiting for your direct command. It is time to finally stop running away from the very thing you were born to do. And you must turn around to bravely face your destiny. Your long, painful waiting season is officially over. Every single time you suppress your divine intuition, you are effectively rejecting your own soul. You are telling heaven you refuse to accept the beautiful crown they forged for you. The pain of staying small is much worse than the temporary fear of stepping out. You cannot physically endure this tight restriction for another single day because your spirit is absolutely desperate to break free. The heavy iron cage must break apart right now. Let this profound truth wash over your spirit like a warm, healing rain today. This is absolutely not an accusation against your beautiful heart in any way whatsoever. It is the spiritual diagnosis that instantly removes the heavy blinders from your tired eyes. Once you finally name the hidden fear, it completely loses all of its dark power over your daily life, and you start taking your pure authority back. You are finally completely in control of your destiny. You are a chosen vessel carrying a frequency that terrifies the kingdom of darkness. You are not a fragile victim of circumstance or a casualty of toxic relationships. You are a fully integrated spiritual warrior who simply forgot how powerful they truly are. But your long, painful amnesia is officially over today because the heavy fog is rapidly lifting from your weary mind right now. You can finally see everything with perfect spiritual clarity. The season of hiding your bright light in the dusty corner is completely finished today. The days of making yourself small to protect their fragile egos are totally over now. you must proudly pick up the heavy sword that heaven placed in your open hands. The waiting world desperately needs the exact unique frequency you have been so afraid to fully release, and your divine time is officially here. There is absolutely no more running away from this. This brings us to the most important moment of our time together today. We have successfully exposed the hidden root that kept you firmly anchored to the ground. Now we must permanently shatter the chain so you can finally take flight. This pivotal moment requires your complete and total active participation because you must prepare your physical body for the massive energetic shift. You are completely ready for this massive release now. We have arrived at the pivotal moment that heaven has been preparing you for since the day you were born. The heavy chains of fear have been identified, and the dark lies of smallness have been completely stripped away from your spirit. You are no longer the frightened version of yourself who hid in the dark. You are the chosen one who has finally recognized their own immense authority. Everything shifts right now. I need you to participate fully in this sacred activation of your destiny. Do not just listen to my voice passively like you are watching a simple video. You must engage your physical body to signal a powerful change in the spiritual realm. Please stop whatever you are doing. Find a quiet place where you can be entirely alone with your own spirit. Place your right hand firmly over your own heart and take a deep breath. Feel the steady rhythm of your own heart beating against your palm right now. That is the rhythm of a divine life that was handcrafted by the Creator for a massive purpose. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are a masterpiece of high frequency, and you are finally ready to be fully released. Speak these words out loud with me so the entire atmosphere can hear your absolute decree. Say this out loud with total conviction. I release the desperate need to be needed by everyone around me. I release every agreement I ever made with smallness, with delay, and with the heavy lie that I am too much for this world. I am not too much. I am exactly what this broken world has been praying for. I step into my divine assignment, knowing my deep isolation was preparation, not punishment. I am fully embracing the massive weapon of discernment I carry inside my spirit. I am no longer afraid of the heavy weight of my own authority. I forgive those who misunderstood my bright light because they were simply blind to the spiritual frequency I carry. I release them from my expectations today. My breakthrough is not coming in the distant future. It is already here. It is already moving in my favor. I walk forward today knowing I am chosen, I am perfectly prepared, and I am exactly where I am supposed to be in this life. The season of hiding my beautiful light is officially over. I am fully awake. I am finally alive. I am ready to fulfill every single thing I was sent here to do. And so it is. Let those powerful words linger in the air around you for a moment. Feel the massive energetic shift occurring in your physical body right now. That was not just a simple prayer, because that was a legal decree you just released into the spiritual atmosphere. You have officially reclaimed the territory that was stolen from you by your own fear. You are standing on solid ground now. You must understand that the breakthrough you are currently feeling is not going to vanish tomorrow morning. You have fundamentally changed your internal frequency during this time together, and the physical world will have to rapidly adjust to meet the new version of you. People will begin to treat you with a new level of respect because your steady presence now commands a completely different kind of absolute authority. You are the only person who can stop this new momentum from fully manifesting in your daily life. Do not let yourself slide back into the comfortable patterns of your old smallness. When you feel that old heavy fear of being too much rising up in your chest, you must remember this moment. You must remember the steady beat of your heart under your hand, and you must hold your sacred ground. You were forged in the silent desert for a very specific reason. You were carefully sharpened in the dark forge to become a weapon of light in this heavy generation. Your discernment is not meant to be hidden away in a dusty corner. It is meant to be used boldly to guide others who are still desperately wandering in the dark. You are the lighthouse they are currently praying to find. The divine assignment you were born for is finally ready to fully activate. It will not look like the ordinary path the rest of the world is frantically walking. It will be uniquely yours, perfectly tailored to your high frequency, and deeply rooted in the absolute truth you have finally reclaimed. Trust the steady pull you feel in your spirit, because it is the gentle hand of the Creator leading you toward your glorious finish line. Every single thing you have endured was never wasted pain. It was all essential training for the massive leadership role you are about to step into. The people who were meant to leave your life have left, and the space they occupied is finally wide open for the right people to arrive. You are not entering a season of loss, because you are entering a season of massive spiritual harvest. Your spirit is currently vibrating at a level that is completely incompatible with the old version of your life. Do not try to force yourself back into the broken systems that were never designed to hold your expansive vision. You are a new creation. You are a vessel of pure light. You are a carrier of the divine frequency that will heal the broken hearts of this entire generation. You are no longer the one who asks for permission. You are the one who sets the standard by simply existing in your true identity. The world is waiting for you to fully step into this power. So walk out of your house today with your head held high and your heart firmly anchored in this absolute truth. You are the chosen one, and your life carries a meaning that is still rapidly unfolding before your very eyes. The intense season of your spiritual preparation is now officially complete. You are absolutely not the same person who started listening to this message today. The heavy weight that you carried for so many years has finally been lifted off your tired shoulders. Your massive breakthrough is not coming in some distant future. It is already here. You can feel a deep and profound peace settling over your mind right now. The chaotic noise of the broken world has been completely silenced in your spirit. You do not have to fight those invisible battles in the dark anymore, because the heavy armor you wore to protect your soft heart can finally be gently put away. You are entirely safe now. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you are going to feel incredibly different. The thick blanket of anxiety that used to sit on your chest will be totally gone. You will open your eyes and feel a beautiful lightness in your soul, because the heavy chains of fear were permanently shattered by your brave declaration. You are finally completely free. You must never walk backward into the restrictive boxes you have officially outgrown. The old version of your life simply cannot contain the massive spiritual frequency you carry today. Do not try to shrink your bright light just to make ordinary people comfortable, and they must learn to adjust to your new brilliance or quietly walk away. Your divine assignment begins right now, in this exact beautiful moment. You do not need any more worldly validation to step into your true spiritual authority. The Creator has already given you the ultimate permission to be your authentic self. You carry the powerful weapon of deep discernment, and heaven has ensured that you are fully equipped to use it properly in the coming days. When you walk into a room from now on, you will completely change the atmosphere. People will immediately sense the quiet confidence radiating from your peaceful spirit. They might not understand exactly what has changed about you, but they will absolutely feel the undeniable weight of your new spiritual presence. You carry the pure light of heaven. You are the calm and steady lighthouse in the middle of a raging storm. While the rest of the world frantically chases after shallow illusions, you stand firmly anchored in absolute truth. Your deep sensitivity is the exact radar that will safely guide lost souls back to the peaceful shore. You are the answer they have been desperately seeking. But you must remember to fiercely protect your own energy moving forward. You can shine your bright light without ever letting them drain your precious battery, because you finally understand the immense value of your own soul. Set your firm spiritual boundaries and never apologize for protecting your own peace. Your high calling requires a massive amount of divine energy. You have successfully survived the lonely wilderness and the blazing hot forge. The painful isolation you endured was the exact process that made you incredibly strong. You now understand that your intense loneliness was never a harsh punishment from heaven, but rather it was the sacred preparation you needed to become the integrated warrior you are today. The enemy completely failed to destroy your beautiful spirit during the dark season. Every single arrow he shot at your heart was deflected by the invisible hand of God. You are still standing here today with a soft heart and a fiercely powerful spirit, and that is the ultimate victory over the dark forces that tried to bring you down. Heaven is deeply proud of the immense courage you have shown throughout this journey. You chose to bravely face your own hidden fears instead of running away from them. You confronted the quiet lies that kept you trapped, and you successfully broke the heavy cycle of smallness forever. Your spiritual ancestors are celebrating your massive breakthrough right now. Please do not let this profound truth fade away when this message ends. You must hold on to this deep peace as you step back into the physical world. Some messages do not just simply inform your mind, because they are actually designed to permanently activate your dormant spirit. If something stirred deep in your soul today, you must act on it. Before you go any further today, please gently press the like button on this message. Do not do it for me, but do it so this powerful blessing can quickly reach someone else. There is another chosen one out there sitting in the dark right now, and they are crying because they feel entirely misunderstood and desperately need this exact hope tonight. I also want you to share this message with someone who has always been called too sensitive, especially the person who always gives too much and receives too little in return. They need to hear that their deep empathy is a powerful weapon and not a tragic flaw. You can be the divine messenger that completely changes their entire life. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications before you leave this space. You must stay connected to this high frequency so you never miss the next massive revelation. The world will constantly try to bury the absolute truth about who you really are, so you absolutely need a steady reminder of your true identity to stay firmly on the path. You are completely prepared for the beautiful journey that lies ahead of you. The long season of hiding in the dark shadows is officially and permanently over. Step into your magnificent calling with a joyful heart and a completely clear mind, because you are the chosen one, and I am so incredibly honored to witness your glorious rise.